for anybody that's been watching my channel for a long time, of all the videos I've done, of all the strong opinions that I've held and expressed over the course of the time that I've had this channel, this is the one video you had to know was going to come back. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, with a special video that comes around about once a year. Around this, I don't know why it happens this particular time, but I've tried to keep it to this, what you're going to see in a second, but this is a topic that I feel very strongly about, and if I didn't limit myself, I'd talk about it in every video. I try to mention it once a year, see where we're at on the particular issue that we're going to discuss, and sort of go at it from there. It seems to be that the past 2 years I've done it around June, and, you know, let's be real, I've got a weekend here where I was busy yesterday and I'm busy tomorrow. I got nothing to do today, so I'll come up and talk to you guys, my buddies and my pals, my fellow YWC Reality Checkers. Maybe that could be a thing. Okay, that lameness aside, before I get into it, I do want to extend a quick thank you to Kristen and Guapo from the Wrestle Recap Show, who joined me once again for the tackle preview panel for Money in the Bank. We're having a lot of fun with this. This tackle thing, and I said it to Kristen and Guapo after we were done recording, I think they are pretty much my standard tackle crew now. Anytime he wants to, Suave can come back, Heel Steven can come back, OK Fabe can come back, anybody else that I've collabed with ever can come back, but I think with Christian and Guapo and the amount of fun we have doing these previews, it's not anything that's going to go away anytime soon. So for the umpteenth time, I will say, go check out youtube.com/the Black Cat Feline, which I know they're getting a new channel up and running soon. When that happens, I will pass the link on to you guys, because I think they deserve the attention. Also, anybody that's on SoundCloud, I believe that they are on soundcloud.com/Wrestle Recap. They don't have anything up there yet as far as podcasts go, but I'm sure they will shortly, and I'm sure it'll be worth a look. So thank you to those guys. Please, as always, I do say go check those guys out. They're a lot of fun. This, as you can see in the title, as you can see in the description, and as you can see if you've already fast-forwarded through this video once or twice, this is the Great Cruiserweight Debate. Which is a very nice and fancy way of saying that I have always believed WWE needs the Cruiserweight division back, and I don't understand... I really don't, and this is not meant from a judgmental point of view, but I don't understand how anybody else can say that they don't, especially with the number of cruiserweights they have, or potentially have, as I will get into shortly. You just do. You got various sizes and forms of athletes and whatever, and if you don't acknowledge that, the fact that this is as unscripted as you can get, isn't it? If you don't acknowledge that you have cruiserweights, then your world title is useless. I would forgive it if they still had the WWE Championship, but now, especially when it has been rebranded as it has as the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, that's a distinction. Whether WWE intends it to be or not, you can't take the World Heavyweight Championship seriously if people that aren't heavyweights are competing for it. I'm not saying that you can't have good big guy, small guy matches, but I mean, people complain all the time about, you know, Big Show versus Rey Mysterio, and things like, I mean, you complain about matches with either of those guys in general, to be fair, but I mean, Rey Mysterio was probably the biggest cruiserweight asset that WWE ever acquired from WCW. I don't like Rey Mysterio, but I will admit that. If there wasn't a cruiserweight division at the time for him to compete in, what would he have done? He's a midget in the land of giants, and that's not me being derogatory. It's just a fact. He went on and they had to develop him into the giant killer and do all that cartoony shit, which is where I come to another very good point as to why this needs to happen. If you have a match where, a roster where everybody's treated equally, where they're not, WWE and wrestling in general, at the best of the times, fights the fact that it's seen as this cartoony, unreal thing. You've got fans at this point in time still pulling to see Lesnar versus Bryan. Now, there's two things that are going to happen. Either Daniel Bryan's going to get fucking destroyed, or it's going to look like a cartoon. There's not very much middle ground. There's a reality check. Sorry, and I'm not trying to go cliche to my opening spiel there, but there is a reality check there that needs to happen if you don't want wrestling to be looked at as a joke. There's a lot of how can I say this? There's a lot of talent out there. There's a lot of really good, like, Mexican wrestlers, lucha wrestlers, just in general light, heavyweight, fast-paced wrestlers out there that I'm sure would love to come to WWE, but would dread it at the same time because, you know, you're coming in there where there isn't really a spot for you. You're an A+ level hockey player that's just been asked to play basketball. It really has to be that kind of mentality. Obviously, anybody wants to be in the WWE, so you have this cartoony match where you beat somebody that's 3 times the size of you, but I'm sure you'd rather be with somebody like you that mirrors you that can do that. And here's the deal too. All it does is diversify your product. How can I say this? If there was only singles matches, it would get boring after a while. So we have tag team matches. If it was only men's matches, after a while, it would get boring. That's why we have women's matches, or mixed tag, or whatever you want to say. That's why we've created all these different stipulation matches, you know. TLC is great. Is the Punjabi prison match the best match in the world? Absolutely not. But we have to do these things to keep it diverse. Can you go and can you appreciate once in a while Mark Henry and the Big Show absolutely clobbering each other, or Cesaro and Sheamus absolutely clubbing the shit out of each other? Of course you can. Can you go and can we have dream matches of Kurt Angle versus Daniel Bryan in Technical Classics, or Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit back in the day, or Eddie Guerrero versus Chris Benoit, you know, R.I.P. and all that sort of thing, having great technical matches? Of course you can, because that's another niche, there's that great map-based, technical, almost mathematical style. But there's another niche out there for the high flyers, for the spot monkeys, as some people say, which is a term that I absolutely can't stand, if I'm honest. The whole spot monkey thing, it's a judgment that's put on matches like this, and I really don't understand it. There's people out there that love Cactus Jack, Tommy Dreamer, guys, you know, Terry Funk, guys of that like, and you go and you watch them in King of the Deathmatch 5 or whatever they were in. I don't mean to be derogatory to them either, so sorry if it sounds like I am. But you watch something like Undertaker, Mick Foley, Hell in a Cell. You watch that because it's a fantastic spectacle, not because you want to see a 5-star mat classic. And it's the same thing with the lightweights of it. And let me be clear, I'm not saying necessarily that WWE would have to resurrect the Cruiserweight title and try to gather a history on a belt that has been tarnished, because as soon as Chavo Guerrero's dad wore it, he wasn't a Cruiserweight. It took away from the title. I think we had a couple of divas that held it at one point, which is... the last WWE Cruiserweight Championship chip holder was Hornswoggle, which is bad. WWE Light Heavyweight title, which existed before that, was overshadowed by the Cruiserweight title, so that one you couldn't really bring back. But you need something. I don't care what you call it. WWE has never been a company to be shy of creating something new. Don't create something new. When they needed to, when they did the brand split, which is something I'm going to reference quite a few times in the next little bit, when they did the brand split and they had the Intercontinental title on Raw and they needed an Intercontinental title, or a mid-level title for SmackDown, they didn't pull the European title out of obscurity. They didn't pull the hardcore title out of obscurity. They made the U.S. title. I mean, did they loosely link it to the WCW U.S. title? Yes. But for all intents and purposes, especially if you never watched WCW, they created a title because it fit a need. So they need to create something new. I don't care what you call it. I call it Cruiserweight Wrestling just because it's the most generically accepted term right now. I don't care what you call it. If you want to call it a Cruiserweight title, if you want to call it a Light Heavyweight title, if you want to call it... I know in boxing, I think they have what they call a junior weight title. If you want to go like TNA did and create something totally off the cuff, if you want to call it an X Division or an Extreme title, if you wanted to go as simple as calling it the High Flying title, I don't think it would be taken seriously at first. I think you'd have a bit of a fight there, but you could do it. There's two major arguments. That are against the Cruiserweight title coming back or being created, and they're both based in the past. One of the arguments I've heard, and it's kind of true in some cases, is that when they had a Cruiserweight division, the matches weren't very different. They were just a regular WWE style match between two small guys, or a regular WWE style match sped up a little bit. That's, and I want to be nice when I say this because I don't want to be insulting to anybody. That's really honest and truly not my goal here. But that's based on, what, 10 years ago? The one thing, and I harp on Daniel Bryan a lot, but the one thing CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan taught us is, in the right circumstances, WWE will break the WWE style and let two guys do what they know they want the crowd to do. Punk and Bryan had, when they had their mini rivalry, before Kane was thrown in, and that was garbage, their matches were different. From what I can see, I don't watch a lot of indie wrestling, but they had a very much more of a, we know each other, we know what we can do, this is what we've done elsewhere, uniqueness to it, where they really broke the WWE mold. So I think we're in a time now, and especially, we have more masked wrestlers coming in now. We have more, we're paying more, WWE is paying more attention to what goes on outside of WWE, if that makes sense. So I don't think that would be the case these days. So realistically, their matches aren't very different, or they weren't very different when they had a Cruiserweight title. Who says it has to be that way this time? The second thing that people say a lot when they're trying to fight the idea of having a Cruiserweight or light heavyweight or whatever you want to call it division is that when they had one before, it was a joke. As I say, Chavo's dad held it for a while, then Hornswoggle held it, and then it eventually died, and I don't know what else happened. Division was a joke. I think that's an argument that would be put forth more towards the hardcore title than anything else. And, I mean, I could do a whole video on that, too, because there are certain ways you could bring back the hardcore title as well. But I don't think it really, other than those two things that I mentioned, I don't think it really fits here. Because, again, it's the whole, it was a joke. Just because it was before doesn't mean it would be done the same way this time. This is why I suggest, don't bring back a title. Create one. Make the fans feel like they're on the cusp, feel like they're on the ground floor of something brand new. But what I will say is that it shouldn't be treated like a joke. It shouldn't be treated second rate, because we've seen in the past the way that a cruiserweight, light heavyweight, whatever division can be used as a building block. I won't sit here very often and say that that the brand split was a good idea, because I really don't think it was. But there's one thing that the brand split, or at least tried to do, and I have to give WWE a little bit of credit here. You had a world title on both shows, you had a mid-card title on both shows, you had a tag title thing on both shows, but after that, things got very specific. The Divas felt special. When they were advertising Raw, the Divas title was exclusively on Raw. So the Diva, if you wanted to see the Divas Championship, you had to watch Raw. Contrary to that, the Cruiserweights became exclusive to SmackDown, and SmackDown, for a while, especially when there were SmackDown-specific pay-per-views, they plastered it all over the place. You gotta watch SmackDown, you gotta see these Cruiserweights, and the only place you're gonna see these Cruiserweights are on SmackDown. So whoever's putting SmackDown out there, I believe this is in the Paul Heyman SmackDown 6 era, don't message me and yell at me if I'm getting my dates wrong and all that, but whoever was in charge at the time knew that this was a draw, knew that they could hitch the show's popularity on this, because people want to see it. People want to see this a hell of a lot more than they want to see Big Show lumber around the ring, or Kane, or some other people I could mention. Great Khali is another example, but he's hardly around anymore, so that's it is what it is. Look at TNA. TNA is going down the shitter. I will fully admit that. I still watch it for the hell of it. Their Destination X pay-per-view type show thing aired just a couple of nights ago, and it's still fun to watch. It's got the whole TNA sucks cloud over it, and oh my god, all the pending doom of TNA. But TNA always, and for as long as I can remember, the big thing that they made their name on was that, okay, they had a better tag team and better Divas division than the WWE. But this is just, this is something WWE does, and we just do it a bit better or whatever. But come to watch TNA, because look at our fucking X Division. And back in the day when the X Division was at its prime, I would rather watch an X Division than a WWE main event. You could bring that element to the WWE. And as I say, fans feel more special or will be more connected to something if we feel like we're in on the ground level of it. That's why NXT is a big thing. That's why NXT is huge. So that when somebody like Neville or The Ascension or Kevin Owens or whatever debuts on the main roster, WWE hands us the feeling of, we already know this guy. We already know this. We were there for day one. Even if they came from somewhere else before that and before that and before that. But it's WWE is very good these days at making the fans feel like they got in on the ground floor and they got in on something special. So, no, was the Cruiserweight division always the best thing on the show? Was it always the best thing on the card? Was it always the highlight of Raw, SmackDown, every pay-per-view, every house show? No, not always. But is the tag division always the highlight of the show? No. Is the Divas division always the highlight of the show? No. Is the main event always the highlight of the show? No. What I'm here right now to do, and this is entirely hypothetical, I'm here to tell you, if WWE created a Cruiserweight division or something similar, I'm just going to say, I keep saying or something similar, I'm just going to keep saying Cruiserweight division in your head. When you hear me say Cruiserweight division, call it whatever you want in your head. I think that'll just make everybody's day a bit easier. But when I look up Cruiserweight division, and some things conflict some other things, it says somebody under the weight of, I think it's 215 on some sites, it's 220 on the other. So what I've done is I've collected from various rosters some people that fit that criteria, and I will admit right now, there are some people on this list that I like, that are 1 or 2 pounds over the 220 mark. And I will say something to you right now, if you want to nitpick me on those 1 or 2 pounds. 2 years ago, you guys know when I was a lot more vocal about my walking and my Zumba, etc., etc., etc. At one point, over a very short period of time, I lost 40 pounds. I got it all back because I like food and I'm kind of lazy, and I usually do shit like this at ridiculous o'clock in the morning, as you guys all know. My point being, if somebody lazy like me can lose 40 pounds, somebody in the shape of a Christopher Daniels, or, sorry, it's the only guy on the list whose name I can think of off the top of my head, can surely lose 2 or 3 pounds to make it into the Cruiserweight division. We all remember there was an entire storyline back in the day of Christian trying to lose weight so that he could compete for the Cruiserweight title. You could do something like that again. I know they're doing a get in shape gimmick on Bull Dempsey on NXT right now, and I'm not really going for that because I don't really want to see greasy ass Bull Dempsey talking to William Regal and eating chips. But I'm just saying it can't be done it's not like it hasn't been done before, not like it couldn't be done again. And it's not like you couldn't fudge the numbers a couple pounds this way, a couple pounds that way, not like WWE's never done that before. So what I've done here is I've gone to various rosters, and I've pulled out some names of some talent that fit the criteria of the old Cruiserweight division. Now, I've gone to rosters of companies that I don't watch. So, to be fair, and so that I'm not talking out of my ass, I've only picked out the talents that I personally am familiar with. There's more. Put down in the box. In fact, you know what? I was going to say this at the end of the video, but I'll say it right now. If WWE had a Cruiserweight division, they started it right now, under the same sort of premise as the old Cruiserweight division, but they're starting one right now. You've all of you out there, are a great portion of you that always, how can I say this, recommend what I should check out. Nobody's ever really been disrespectful about it, but I've had a lot of people over the course of the time that I've had this channel recommend, hey, you should check out this, you should check out this. Put down in the box below, if WWE created a Cruiserweight title tomorrow, opened a Cruiserweight division tomorrow, Monday Night Raw, Vince McMahon or Triple H or Stephanie walk out there, brand new shiny belt, there's a Cruiserweight division, and you've got the booking book, who would you go out? Who would you go out to? What company? Who would you want in WWE for that division? Put it down in the box below. Not a fan interaction video, but I just invite you to keep the conversation going. So, as I say, the guys on this list are only guys that I'm familiar with. There's 100 more out there that I don't know that I'm sure could make the division just as good. I don't know what company he's in right now, to be perfectly honest, but PJ Black, aka Justin Gabriel, should have stayed in WWE. Should have been a tag team champion with Tyson Kidd by now, but that's besides the point. I don't watch Lucha Underground. But I do know there's one guy that I think we need to steal back, and that is John Morrison, going currently by the moniker Johnny Mundo, and I'm really not sure why. So those are the ones that I'm really not familiar with. Now, I mentioned TNA next because I did a thing a while ago, fan interaction, and it's actually coming up at the end of the month, and I asked you guys what should WWE do when TNA crumbles. TNA is going to crumble, we know this, and they have the X division. So add to our potential Cruiserweight division Austin Aries, Crazy Steve, Davey Richards, DJZ, aka Zima Ion, Eddie Edwards, Loki, aka Senshi, aka Caval from WWE, Manic, aka Suicide, Robbie E, and Rockstar Spud. Rockstar Spud, I hate to even admit this. Rockstar Spud had a good match with Kurt Angle this week, and that's friggin' frightening. I mentioned ROH, and I don't mention ROH like I can talk about it because I don't watch it. But I mention ROH not only because people I know have gone there, but because it's been proven that while NXT feeds WWE, ROH, it seems, feeds NXT a lot of the time. So from ROH, we could take the phenomenal AJ Styles, Chris Sabin, Kazarian, or Frankie Kazarian, or Kaz, Jay Lethal, the Young Bucks, aka Generation Me, Matt Sydal, aka Evan Bourne, and the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels. From there, the next logical step, obviously, because ROH feeds NXT, is to talk about everybody's favorite brand right now, which is NXT, from which we could get Aiden English, Brian Kendrick, oh yeah, because he's back. Side note, the videos of him training Eva Marie are way more impressive than I expected. I'm not saying I'm going to be a huge Eva Marie fan, but Brian Kendrick's doing some good shit with her. Just putting that one out there. Enzo Amore, which people would hate because it would break up the team of Soft, but could happen, could not happen. Finn Balor, Hideo Itami, Sami Zayn, Solomon Crowe, and Tyler Breeze. Now, I've just mentioned some sources that WWE could get future cruiserweights from. Now, eliminate those sources. Throw them out the window. Just deal with what WWE has right now. R-Truth, Seth Rollins, Sin Cara, Stardust, aka Cody Rhodes, Tyson Kidd, Victor, Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, Adam Rose, Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, Fandango, Heath Slater, Jamie Noble, Joey Mercury, and yes, after the showing that they had on Raw this week against Seth Rollins in that match, I'm going to put those two into this. Kalisto, my boy The Miz, Neville, and the Matadors, aka Epico and Primo. So the talent is there. The talent is there. The talent that needs its own platform is there. The talent that we always talk about being mistreated because they're small, because they're not big, because they're not jacked like The Rock or Roman Reigns or whatever the political reasons are. The talent that we want to see, the talent that needs that platform is there. What I've said to you right now, TNA is about to fold. We could get talent from there. ROH feeds NXT, which feeds WWE, and I've told you about some talent that we've already got on the roster right now. So if WWE expanded the potential of what I've just said to its fullest extent, you could have a single, not a whole roster, a single division within the roster, which, as I say, could consist of Justin Gabriel, John Morrison, Austin Aries, Crazy Steve, Davey Richards, Zima Ion, Eddie Edwards, Caval, Manic, Robbie E, Rockstar Spot, AJ Styles, Chris Sabin, Kazarian, Jay Lethal, the Young Bucks, Evan Bourne, Christopher Daniels, Aiden English, Brian Kendrick, Enzo Amore, Finn Balor, Hideo Itami, Sami Zayn, Solomon Crowe, Tyler Breeze, R-Truth, Seth Rollins, Sin Cara, Stardust, Tyson Kidd, Victor, Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, Adam Rose, Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, Fandango, Heath Slater, Jamie Noble, Joey Mercury, Kalisto, The Miz, Neville, Primo, and Epico. That would be one division. You talk about the tag team division sustaining itself when there's maybe 10 teams. The Divas division, where there's ones worth speaking of, there's maybe 8. There's like 30 names there that would just be your starting block for a cruiserweight division. And it's right there. And the WWE knows. The WWE knows we like the Cruiserweight division. When they did the Monday Night Wars series, they spent an entire episode on lightweight wrestlers. I think the episode was called Flight of the Cruiserweights. What was one thing WCW had over WWE? Their Cruiserweight division wiped the floor with our light heavyweight division, which is why WWE knew this, which is why when they amalgamated, when they bought WCW, brought over the talent and brought over the elements, the intellectual and creative elements of WCW, they scrapped the light heavyweight title and they kept the Cruiserweight title because they knew that's what people were in for. This could be fantastic. I'm not saying it would happen overnight. It would be a very grassroots, as I've said a couple times in the video already, very like starting from the ground floor, but make it prominent. Make it special, make it different. And as I said don't do what people did before. Don't do it just a WWE match with smaller guys. Don't do it just another WWE match, but okay, maybe a little sped up. Don't do it so that people think it's a joke. Do it so that people need to stand up and take notice, and do it so that a guy like me, who writes full notes on Monday Night Raw, has to pause the video every 5 seconds or they're going to miss something. Do it so that nobody's taking a drink of their drink or a bite of their burger because they know if they look away from the TV for even 1 second that they're going to miss something. Make Raw, make Smack, make it. I'm not saying whatsoever to bring back the brand split, but have all your cruiserweights on SmackDown. Who watches SmackDown? I mean, other than me when I'm doing the fights on Wednesday night. But generically speaking, who watches SmackDown? Put this on SmackDown. Make it a SmackDown attraction. Make it make a pay-per-view based on it. Learn something from the few positive things that TNA did. TNA has Destination X. They based an entire pay-per-view around this division because they know how important it is. Have a WWE network exclusive pay-per-view, all for the cruiserweights. People will tell you with their wallets, with their WWE Network subscriptions, that this is something we want. This is something we want. If you had said a while ago, the Lucha Dragons versus the Hardy Boys, cash money. Cash money. Stuff like this. You make it special. You make them high-flying guys. You make them guys that are known for this type of style. Take the high-flying matches, take the TLCs and the ladder matches, whatever, away from the heavyweights. Let the heavyweights have their cage matches and their long drawn-out, technical Iron Man type stuff, because that's for those kinds of wrestlers. Save ladder matches, save TLC matches. Hell, when TNA dies, bring over concepts like the Ultimate X or Elevation X, but save those types of matches for guys like this. And yes, when you create something like this, you do have to make sure it stands out, you do have to make it feel special, and you do have to make sure that people see that it's not a joke. But if you do it properly, this could be something magical. And like I said, I do this video once a year, because if I didn't do this video once a year, I would harp on this in every video I do, because like I say, guys, all the talent is right there. All of it is right there. People harp on me 100 times that because I don't think Kofi Kingston is heavyweight championship material, because he's not a heavyweight. Do something like this. Make Kofi Kingston the champion. Do something like this. And I don't even know. Use it as a tool to introduce somebody like an AJ Styles or a Kazarian, or do something like this. Establish it, and then have the Cruiserweight champ, like, oh, what could I say? Say The Miz pisses everybody off because he's holding the Cruiserweight championship, but he doesn't do any of the high-flying stuff that we want him to do. He puts out an open challenge like John Cena's doing right now, and this is how we introduce somebody like Finn Balor. There's magical shit you could do with this. And it just, now more than ever, it boggles my mind how the WWE doesn't see the opportunity that's right in front of its face. I'm the super positive guy. I'm the guy that gives WWE more credit than they deserve sometimes, and I'm the guy that takes flack for that. But this is one of those things where it's like WWE, and this is... I could only hope and dream and imagine that anybody from WWE actually watches my videos. But on the off chance that one of them does, WWE, you don't even have to do anything. This shit is right in front of your face. Just eventually the day is going to come where you have to pick it up and run with it. And I really hope you do. Anyways, I've rambled on for quite long enough. Thank you guys for listening to all of this. Let me know if you stayed to the end of this glorious ramble. But in the meantime, I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep this conversation going. Obviously, don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, I'm tagging out. Bye, guys.
You're a freak.